Everybody, welcome back to another episode of 20s Unlocked. And today we're exploring how productivity and mindset can transform our approach to sales. So, whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, mastering these areas of mindset can help you crush your goals and connect authentically and grow in ways you never thought possible. So in today's episode, I'm joined with my friend that uh, from college, and he's really passionate about mindsets and how people can use mindset to grow themselves. Michael, how are you, brother?
Good, Ben. Yeah, good to be here, and it's cool to be on this podcast. So, yeah, happy to talk about mindset and whatever we're gonna talk about tonight. I'm excited.
Yes, sir. Do you kind of want to talk about who you are and like your background and kind of why do you think this is important?
Yeah. So I guess I won't go like too crazy into my story, but I when I graduated college, I actually graduated with Ben uh,
Mm-hmm.
at a local university here in St. Louis, but at Fontbonne.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I my first job was a sales job at an insurance agency,
Okay.
and I did that for like 2 months, and I was doing like cold calls and like a lot of like outbound stuff, and I just didn't perform that well, and I ended up getting let go at that job, and it
Mm.
hurt, it stung quite a bit, and so at that point I was like, there's like kind of two ways I could take it. I was like, I could, just like let it get me down and be all sad about it. But
Mm-hmm.
I ended up being like kind of mad, like mad in a good way.
Mm.
I ended up getting another like sales training job at a construction rental equipment company,
Okay.
Herc Rentals. I worked there for a little bit, and then I worked there for like a year or so, and that kind of transitioned into just like entrepreneurship, like just wanting to coach, and
Mm.
I started to just like get more into like the mindset and like self improvement type of
Mm.
area.
Okay. And like, what do you think it's important? Like, what's the relation between mindset and sales?
Mm, I think that I think that you can have the best. This is at least what I'm learning so far, but you can have the best like techniques. You can do all the
Mm-hmm.
outreach in the world. You can put all the
Mm-hmm.
volume in, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but if you have like underlying beliefs, uh,
Mm.
or like things that you're thinking that aren't really like helpful. Like for example, oh, this guy's gonna judge me when I reach out to him, or like this guy I won't actually be able to help out, or
Right.
uh, like this guy is this, or this guy is that, or I can't actually help this guy out. If you
Mm.
have that while you're doing the outreach or doing the
Mm.
sales, like it's gonna affect your performance.
Mm. Yeah, that's so true because I mean, as you know, I'm in sales too. Like selling real estate, and sometimes, when you're doing your outreach, you look through your contact, you're like, I'm not sure if I should have reached out to this person.
Yeah,
So it's really hard to get out of that mindset, like
yeah,
get over that. Um,
yeah.
so like, what are some techniques that you've been, you know, using or telling people to use?
So for me, I guess just kind of what I'm learning and just
Mm.
kind of what I've been doing personally is just trying to gain more awareness. And
Okay.
the way I do this is like there's kind of different ways that you can do it, but you can journal,
Mm.
uh, and you like when you're journaling, you want to just set time aside and really think about a certain area of your life. It doesn't even have to be sales, but
Mm.
when you're journaling, you just want to ask yourself like, what am I thinking right now? And
Okay.
basically just like write everything out. Don't have a censor. Don't really worry about what it looks like, or the substance of like what's actually on the paper. Just get everything out on paper and see what's actually going on in your mind, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So just getting everything out, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
that's a good way. And then I like to meditate. I actually
okay.
I'm gonna be honest. I meditated before this episode or this podcast here. I was
Okay.
Yeah, for like 5 or 10 minutes. I was like overthinking, and I just like sat down and I was like just kind of trying to meditate a little bit.
Were you like nervous or something?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I was I was a little nervous.
No, this is a
Yeah,
safe space. It's a
yeah,
safe space. It's a
I
place
know.
that it's just conversations.
Yeah.
So like what are some things that you've been noticing when you talk to people, especially people in sales and young people, especially. Like, what are like the trends that you've been seeing?
Mm. So far, um, so far, I guess they're focused on a lot going on with like hitting their quotas and stuff. Like if
Mm-hmm.
they're in that type of job where they have to hit like a specific quota,
Mm-hmm.
um, they could basically just be doing like a lot of outreach
Okay.
and feel like they're doing a lot of work, but not seeing like the results
Result. Mm.
or again hitting the numbers that they need to.
Do you think that do like that work they're doing, is it like, because I know sometimes like you could actually be doing work but you're not doing the right work. I don't know if it makes sense. Like, do you
Mm,
think that is that a trend that you think people are doing in sales?
yeah, yeah. Again, still kind of like dipping into this market a little bit and like learning it,
Mm-hmm.
but I think definitely like because for example, like you could be on your computer and ready to do the outreach, but
Mm-hmm.
then there might be thoughts that come up like, oh, I actually have to check my email, or I have to
Yep.
do this before, or I have to
Mm-hmm.
like your mind tells you all these things and it kind of like tricks you into getting away from the thing that you
Mm-hmm.
actually have to be doing.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. I think that sometimes we get distracted so easily, and especially today, man. Like with our phones, laptop, emails, it's like it's left and right.
Yeah.
So like what do you do like to avoid distractions?
Mm. So when I'm working, I like right now I have my phone on my charger, and I just try to keep it
Okay.
away. I try to keep it away from me, and
Okay.
I I actually turn my notifications off, except for LinkedIn. I got LinkedIn on, but other
Mm.
than that, I turn like text notifications, like WhatsApp
Mm.
notifications. I
Oh,
turn
you
on
got
my
WhatsApp?
Yeah, yeah,
You use WhatsApp? Oh.
yeah, for sure.
No, I mean I asked because I know a lot of Americans, they don't really use WhatsApp. I'm from Africa, so like a lot of foreigners, we use WhatsApp to talk to our friends back home, but there's not a lot of Americans who use WhatsApp.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I use it to because like I do have some connections of people like across the sea, and like
Okay,
I communicate with them sometimes.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
but I like WhatsApp.
okay. Interesting. And what did you keep LinkedIn on out of every app?
Yeah, because LinkedIn right now I'm using it to do a lot of like my communication, and
Mm,
I've been trying to post a little bit on LinkedIn.
okay,
Just like put myself out there.
okay. Yeah, that makes sense. What do you so like what do you think of efficiency versus hustle? Because you know, like that goes back to what we were saying earlier. Sometimes, like you people think that you have to stay busy,
Hmm.
and but most of the times, like you can do 2 hours of work and get a lot done, versus like doing 5 hours and you know not really moving the needle. So, like, kind of give me like your take into that, and what do you think that like what do you see uh in that area?
Yeah, I think that's a good point because sometimes like if you kind of just view it as am I doing something
Hmm.
and that means that you're being productive, like I used to think that just because I was doing something, it meant that I was productive. And so that meant
Yeah.
that like I could go take the trash out, or like I could go clean my room, or I could go do the dishes. Like that means I'm productive.
Yeah.
But I guess it depends on like how you're actually spending your time, because it's like,
Mm,
okay, if you're cleaning your room all day, then are you actually I technically did something, and I was cleaning
mm,
my room all day, but did I actually get an outcome done, or like did I
mm.
actually get a something purposeful done, if that makes
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, I got you. I think, yeah, I definitely think. I mean, and the first thing is like figuring out, like you have to figure out like what is it that's important to you, that you need to accomplish. Like I was watching this guy yesterday on YouTube. His name is Ali Abdal. I'm not sure if you've
Mm,
heard of him. He's like
yeah,
a he's like a famous productivity person. If you follow that type of stuff. He was talking about like some of the tips for people to stay productive during the year or weeks. And one of the things that I took out of that video was it was like doing a it's called a morning something. Basically, it's like a morning check-in. You check in every morning to see what were your goals for the week, and you checking in to see if you were actually on track to reach your goals for the week. And so, to me, I'm gonna use that in a way like, okay, if I know what my goals for the week are, then if I'm not working toward those goals each and like day in and day out, then I'm
yeah.
not being productive. I don't know if it makes sense.
Mm, yeah, that makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense, because it's like anything that you're not doing that's not moving you to that like weekly goal,
Mhm.
then it's easy to see what's not productive.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
like
yeah,
that. I like that.
yeah, yeah. Because most of the time, like you think, I mean, like you said, like you think that you're doing something, but you're not really doing anything. You're
Yeah.
just keeping yourself busy.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I've kind of changed that mindset. It's like I want to work hard, and I do really like working hard, but
yeah,
it's like I want to make sure that I'm working on the
yeah,
right thing.
exactly, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that working hard is like you're not supposed to work hard. Like,
Yeah.
don't take it wrong. Like, working hard is very important, but you know, the point is just working hard on the right things. Not just on everything. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about uh eating the frog. Because
Mm.
I saw your post on LinkedIn the other day, and it was really interesting, and I really wanted to bring it up in the show today. So kind of tell me about like eating the frog for those who don't know what that term is and what that involves.
Yeah, eating the frog simply just means doing the hardest thing of your
Mm,
day, that like first thing in the morning. And I used to actually go to the gym first thing in the morning, because
okay.
that was just like one of those hard tasks that helped me get the day started. I'd wake
Mm,
up, get my coffee, go to the gym. But then I realized that, like speaking of like your goal,
mm,
you know, I realized that even harder than going to the gym for me
mm.
was doing outreach. And
Okay.
so
Okay.
I realized that I actually need to do outreach before I go to the gym. And I basically just like wake up, and because I think that's my hardest task of the day, like it's the most like grueling, I guess you could say, and the thing that requires the most like energy, I just get it done first thing in the morning. And it makes things it makes things easier throughout the day. Okay. Yeah, so eating the frog is, I basically just view it as getting the hardest thing done during the day.
Mm,
Uh and so it just depends on what your goal is. Like if you're trying to lose weight, for say,
okay.
you know, the most important thing you can do with losing weight, in my opinion, is exercising.
Yeah.
And so, because if that's your goal and you want to make progress in that, most likely the most grueling, hardest task you could do is exercising.
Right.
So if you do that first thing in the morning, then you get it done and you're already pretty much accomplished for the day.
Yeah.
You're already making like strides towards your goal, if that makes sense.
Right. What what's your hardest task of the day right now, like these days for you?
For me, it's outreach. I do about like
Outreach.
an hour and a half of outreach, and
Okay.
I basically just like get it done right away. I wake up, like drink a coffee, I journal a little bit,
Okay.
and then I just do that, get it done for the day.
Like, what do you be calling? Is it like professionals?
Yeah, so I actually am reaching out to like sales reps, and
Mm.
so
Okay.
just like individual sales reps.
Okay.
I actually do like video messages.
Oh my God, I tried that, man. It's so awkward.
Yeah, it definitely took me a little bit to get used to,
Mm.
like seeing me like holding the camera up, like it felt weird, but I'm kind of like the more I'm doing it, I've kind of gotten used to it, you know.
It's practice. Practice makes perfect. You know.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, for
Yeah.
me, um, what's I think my hardest task of the day for me, I think it would also be um outreach.
Hmm.
But with me being in real estate, the people that I call usually, people who are trying to buy a house or sell. Most of them are in the morning. I can't call them because they're at work.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's what I realized. So it's like I try to call people at like in the afternoon, maybe like
yeah,
2 or 3. And I guess versus you can call them to like in the morning because they're most likely gonna be at work.
yeah. That is tough. Like if the people that you're reaching out to, if it's like a business,
Hmm.
like some people reach out to businesses, and like some businesses aren't even open at like 7 in the morning or 6 in
Hmm.
the morning or whenever you wake up.
Hmm.
So that is kind of tough, but it just depends. If you can't do that, then maybe try the second hardest thing. Like going to the gym.
Hmm. Okay. What do you use a script or something? Like, how do you prepare yourself?
Yeah, I do have like a script that I do,
Okay.
and I basically have been just kind of using the same script,
Okay.
and it's personalized, but it's also a
The
script,
script.
I guess you could say. Yeah, because it makes it for me, it just makes it predictable,
Mm.
and it just makes it like I guess easier
Hmm.
to do.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I mean, for me, yeah, I also have script, but it just depends. I mean, at this point, I know what I'm trying to tell them.
Hmm.
Usually, if I'm calling, let's say, sellers, people who are selling their house, usually I'll ask them if they want to list with me. Or typically, if you're reaching out to buyers, you reach out to them. Let's say I'm doing an open house, and after the open house, hopefully I'll get some numbers, like phone numbers or email, and then the next day, and then I'll do my reach out. I'll do the outreach. I'll say, hey, thank you for coming to the open house. If you need any help, reach out to me. But
Hmm.
usually, yeah, usually with real estate, it's a little bit different. Like you try to accommodate your message to the type of people that you're trying to reach out. So I don't know if
Yeah,
it's the same way with you as well.
yeah. I mean, I personalize it with the name, but like my hook is kind of the same, you know,
Mm,
pretty much for everybody because it's like a 20-second video, you know, and so it's the
okay.
same message. But I can see with real estate, it's probably different because like you might be reaching out to like couples, or you might be reaching out to
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
single guy, or like
Yeah.
different. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Like, do you think there's differences like just depending on like who you're reaching out to?
Yeah. It's differences depending on if it's a seller or a buyer. If it's a seller, typically you want to show them some type of value that they should sell the house with you. You know,
Mm.
like let's say for example, usually if you're a new agent, you don't have any leads or anything, you would go on Zillow and talk to, and then just look up for sale by owner, and you then will call these people, and then hey, like I see you selling your house, how's that going? And
Mm.
then trying to get them to work with you, and then on the buyer side, on the other side, then you typically buyer, you will meet them, let's say like open houses, or like let's say at your local store, you would get someone's number, and then you would call them and just kind of keep stay, and then just stay in touch with them. So yeah, the script is definitely different between buyer and seller. But if you're working
Yeah.
with buyers, it's most likely going to be on an individual basis. If it's a couple, it's going to be different, obviously. If it's a single guy, it's going to be different. If it's a single girl, it's going to be different. So it's going to be on an individual basis, but usually there's two groups: buyers and sellers, and also investors. People want to invest. Those are those people also have their own different conversation that you're going to have with them. So it varies.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like real estate, like, it's gonna be very like hands on and like very, like, I guess it's a different, I don't know, it's different than what I'd be used to.
Mm,
I mean, it'd be cool to like kind of see how that world works, but yeah, I feel like with like real estate, or at least from my perspective,
mm,
like it's very like personalized and like very like hands on throughout. Is that how you
hmm.
see it, or?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I try to stay in touch with most of my leads. you know, I mean, right now I'm going through a period of, since it's the end of the year, I'm reaching out to past acquaintances, like people from college or high school. So or people that I've met, 2 months ago. So it is definitely hands on. You Otherwise, like, cause like everybody know an agent. Like I'm sure, like you probably know like five realtors. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you just be, I guess, on top of people's mind. That's what
Mm,
our mentor told us last week training. Like just stay on top of people's mind, and hopefully they'll want to work with you. So
I like it.
yeah, it's all about building that trust and building that relation over time. So pretty.
I like it.
Um, yeah, I mean, one of the questions that I had is um, like how do you remove like negativities, like when you're going through like a tough time or tough period? Like how do you stay positive?
I think the I think the main thing is what I'm feeding my mind. And I know that sounds weird,
Mhm.
feeding my mind, but like if I'm if I'm like going through a tough time, then
Mm.
I I don't want to be like watching like, like a bunch of like news and like,
Mhm.
just like sad stuff,
Mhm.
and I'd rather kind of stay away from that stuff
Mhm.
and almost detach from like, just like everything going on, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like not like take yourself outside of like everything going on, but
Mhm.
like I guess try to just have some space,
Yeah.
have space where you can like, for me it's like go to the gym,
Mm.
or it's like meditating,
Mm.
or you could go out in nature,
Right.
and you don't have to be plugged into technology or really everything.
Yep. Yeah. What do you feed your mind with? Like when you
Mm,
is it books, podcast?
yeah, I like books. I like books. Yeah, books and long form content
Mm.
on YouTube.
Mm.
I feel like I've learned more on YouTube than I did at Fampan.
Man, preach.
Don't tell them I said that.
We'll just have to mute this part. No.
I mean, I'm just being honest. I
Mhm,
think
mhm,
YouTube does have like so much valuable like content out
Mm-hmm.
there. There's a lot of like free resources.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, I 100% agree. Like, I'm a YouTube University graduate. You know,
Yeah,
I watch YouTube more than I watch Netflix, or
yeah,
even more than I'm on Instagram or LinkedIn. You know, I'm always on YouTube, watching, whether it's a documentary, whether it's someone talking about, finance, personal finance, or productivity. So I'm with you. I'm always on YouTube.
yeah. Yeah, I feel that. I mean, YouTube, I kind of always been like that. Like YouTube, in college, I actually used to, I used to just watch a lot of like prank videos
Hmm.
and
Okay.
like politic type of stuff.
Okay.
But I ended up transitioning somehow. I'm very grateful for it, but somehow I got like sucked into the rabbit hole of like self improvement stuff,
Hmm.
and it yeah, just watching that, I seriously think that it like planted a lot of like seeds in my mind, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
it,
What
yeah,
what kind of led you to that journey of self improvement? Was it like in a specific event? Because I know earlier you mentioned that
mm,
you had that sales job that you ended up leaving. Is that
yeah,
was that the kicker of your journey?
definitely. I mean, during that time, I was like, I learned about the whole, because like self improvement could be like wishy washy, I guess, but like I learned about it, and I kind of got into that world like a few months before that job,
Mm,
but like I hadn't really applied myself to it as much before that job.
mm,
And I guess really after that, like after I got fired,
mm,
I was like, okay, it was my fault I got fired.
mm,
It was because of my mindset. It was because of my confidence,
mm.
and like, really, I just didn't see myself in a good light at that point.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I guess it was that. It was kind of that event that really like, okay, I need to be on a different trajectory. Like, I don't want to like live like this anymore. Like that type of stuff.
Was it were you not just like doing what you were supposed to do, or not hitting your numbers? Like, what happened?
Mm, yeah, I just wasn't like closing anything.
Oh,
I was I was actually cold calling more than anybody in the office. Like I was staying late and I was cold calling,
wow.
and I just I would even stay late, and I remember uh I remember just like staying like an hour or two later, like during the week,
Mm,
like every night. And I was like, what the heck? Like I'm the hardest worker here, and
mm.
like I'm not closing anything. Like what's going on? And then my like agent like fired me, and it's like,
What?
yeah, it's like, damn. Sorry for swearing, but
So they fired
I
you because you weren't closing anything, not because you weren't being lazy.
yeah, I just wasn't performing.
Okay. What type of sales job was this? Like, what industry was this?
Insurance,
Insurance.
insurance sales.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's what kind of sparked it. I was like, okay, I know I still want to do sales,
Mm-hmm.
and I ended up. That's why like when I went back to the drawing board, I was like, okay, I'm gonna look for like a sales training type of program,
Mm,
or sales training management type of program,
mm,
and that's what led me to like my next job.
mm. So typically, when someone get fired from a job, they'll just go to like, oh man, I'm not worth it. Um, but somehow you found the courage to keep going in that direction. I mean, better yet, now you're trying to coach people, salespeople. I mean, like, let's say someone comes to you, they say like, "Why would you coach me?"
Hmm.
Like, you got fired from a sales coach. Like, how would you persuade them to work with you?
Mm. So, are you saying you're just like a guy in sales, like looking to improve, or Or like you just got fired? Is that what you're
No,
saying?
I'm saying like, you know, like you found the strength to get back up, after you got fired, and now you're
Yeah.
trying to coach people, so that they don't make the same mistake as you did. But you know, let's say someone, you reach out to someone and then you tell them your story, and they told you that, um, like what you're gonna teach them, like they basically, let's say they come to you as like, what are you gonna teach me? You got fired from a sales job.
Oh,
Like,
I see what you're
yeah, so
saying.
like, what are you gonna, like, what do you say to them?
Yeah, I mean, I did. Yeah, that's true. I did after that year,
Mm,
like after I got fired from that job, I did end up getting like a good amount of experience
okay,
in the like new job I had.
okay,
And so I actually learned like how to sell like in that job.
okay,
Uh and it was a good like training program. I did that for like a year, I'd say,
okay.
maybe a little bit more. And also during that time I learned a lot about like entrepreneurship
Mm,
and like freelance.
mm,
I started my own like business along the way.
mm.
It was my first business, and I didn't really know what I was doing at the time. Yeah, I was just doing outside of my full-time
Mhm.
job, but it's a digital marketing agency, and I was like, oh, I'm a business owner, but I didn't really actually know what I was doing. And
You are a business
but
owner.
yeah, now I feel like more clear on what I'm doing. So
Mm,
it definitely feels good, but in the beginning it wasn't very clear. Like I'd say last year at this point it
mm.
wasn't very clear what I was doing.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely inspiring because I mean, like I said, like you went from, you know, getting fired to that really inspire you to like do what you're doing now, and it's actually a great story when you talk to someone. It's like, hey, I've been through here. Like, I can actually help you. It
Yeah,
kind of gives some credentials.
yeah, yeah. I would hope so. I mean, and if anything, it's more so about like helping with like the mindset, I guess,
Mm,
and like just at least what I'm learning.
mm,
That's the most important part.
mm,
You know, because again, I was cold calling, more than anybody in the office, but I still wasn't. I
mm.
was closing less than anybody in the office,
Anybody? Wow.
and I think
Like,
that's
what
why
do
it's
you
just
think
more
that
so about the.
is?
I think because if you're going into the calls and like you lack like maybe you lack confidence,
Hmm.
or at least I'm just picturing my
Hmm.
perspective.
Hmm.
You go into the calls and you're like I I wouldn't be able to help this person, or I'm doing terrible today, or
Mm,
you're just saying like all this crap and stuff in your head.
mm. So
And
it's really about what's in here.
I think so.
No, that's true. That's true. I mean, like, so like how does someone fix that mindset?
Mm. Well, I think it comes down to like working on it. And like for me, the way that I worked on it is like I guess you can picture it like you just have to take a shovel
Mm,
and like just start digging in
mm,
and really like getting deep,
mm,
and it can be kind of like weird, and it sounds like weird, but there can be things that you like think about yourself or like see about yourself,
mm.
and you really just kind of have to like dig that stuff out, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, so basically, it is like doing some self work. You know, like
For sure.
I I I do see this as you being aware of. Well, it is a lot of self awareness work. Like you have to realize, okay, you know, there is this. I need to get rid of this in my mind. There's this. There's this self negative talk. There's limiting beliefs because at some point we all had some sort of limiting beliefs in us, and so I do think that, yeah, definitely in sales, like your mindset can either make you or break you. you know
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It definitely does take a lot of work, and it takes time
Mm, yeah.
to I guess like really like root everything out if that makes sense.
Mm,
If it's not serving you.
mm. So let's say if someone they want to get into sales today, they're new, they don't know anything about sales or entrepreneurship or you know mindset, like mindset. Like, what would you tell them? Like, where should they start? Like, what are the things that they need to work on before they get into sales?
Mm. I mean, honestly, I think start as soon as you can. You know, I think like repetition, and I know I say that like, you can make 1,000 cold calls, but I think that repetition is important.
Mm,
But while you're doing like the repetition, I think that, reading books
mm,
from like successful people, or
mm,
at least who you think are successful, uh, watching like YouTube videos about sales
mm,
and just learning about it, like learning how it actually works, like learning how good salespeople do that,
mm,
or do their job,
mm,
and really just like actively learning and also doing.
mm-hmm. I agree. Like, what are some
Yeah.
sales technique that you know of or that you've been using?
Mm, for me, the most important thing I'm learning is having a focus on like the prospect's problem,
Mm,
and instead of focusing on just like closing and making money,
mm,
you want to just focus on like them and seeing if you could actually help them out.
mm,
And that's a big changer for me. Is just like if you can actually help the person out, then it's kind of like a
mm-hmm.
win-win. Like they'll pay you and you could help them out. And so it's like it's like an equal thing, if that makes
It's a
sense.
50-50.
Yeah.
Like, we all benefit.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I mean, I mean, I 100% agree. I think that in sales, it used to be like in sales that, um, in sales, like when you sell something, that the other person don't have to benefit, that you're the one who benefiting. But in reality, is it's like for someone to pay you, you have to show some level of values. Like, people don't just pay you for something, pay you for not bringing some type of really good values to their lives. And
Yeah.
the second thing I want to say is I was watching this YouTube video, this entrepreneur, he was talking about, like, in his company, his salespeople, they don't close sales anymore. They open relationship. So
Mm.
most of the times, like when we think of sales, like, oh, I'm gonna close this sale. But that client that you closing the sales with, you might work with them again in the future. So if you just close that sale and then just leave that client alone, then in 2 or 3
Yeah.
years they might work with someone else. But if it is a relationship, like you said, like you open a relationship, so like, you might, close to, or I guess, sell them something today, but in 2 years, if you stay in touch, they might work with you again. So that's what I really love about more of I see sales like a relationship type of partnership, rather than just, you know, I'm selling you something.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good like perspective to have, cuz that kind of blew my mind. I'm not going to lie.
Mm,
Like I knew I used to hear the term like, oh, you had to solve problems and you had to help people,
mm,
but I didn't really understand it. And I feel like I'm actually understanding it. It's like if you just go in with the intent of like, okay, I'm going to try to help this person out.
mhm, mhm,
And if I can't help them out, then it's not a good fit, and no
mhm,
no pressure if not.
mhm. No, I
Yeah, and
mean,
so
that's what business is. At the end of the day, like, business is you bringing, providing solutions to someone's problem.
yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a just that framework there, or like that understanding,
Mm.
it has been kind of like mind changing for me.
Okay. Okay. And like what do you like? What steps do you take to like make sure that you are actually like um you know like helping them and making sure that they don't feel like you're just being salesy.
Mm, asking a lot of
Yeah.
questions, like a lot. uh, I would say basically just like, or at least what I've been doing recently is just I've had a couple calls recently, but I basically just like ask a lot of questions in the beginning and see. It's kind of like I'm trying to understand if I could actually help this person, or
Mm-hmm.
if they have a fair enough problem,
Mm. Like.
And then
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, just by that, by asking a lot of questions and also allowing them to speak. You
Mm.
ask them the question and you allow them to speak.
Mm.
You don't want to just like butt right in and like cut them off.
Mm.
I feel like just that focus has kind of helped me out.
I agree. I think sometimes in sales you feel like you need to get your pitch out to the
Yeah, yeah,
she's like, oh, I can be the best person to help you, but most of the times it's not really about you. It's about them.
yeah, yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
So, can you tell me about rugs?
About what? What is it?
Rugs. I think it's called rugs. You posted it. Like we all have rugs. I'm not sure if I'm
Oh,
saying it right.
like mental ruts.
Mental rots. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can you tell me about that?
Okay. Yeah. I I think that this is at least a realization I've had, but if you can like minimize your ruts, because everybody has ruts.
Okay.
I mean, we all have periods where we're not like really like motivated, or like we kind of just want to like, or at least for me, I have periods where I just want to like not do anything.
Right.
And like sometimes my ruts can be bad, like it can last like a week or so, and
Mm-hmm.
and it's a week of like not being productive and actually working towards my goal.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, like, if you can minimize that and not make the ruts as bad, it's like, because you'll be like, I'm gonna try to like show this with my hands, but like the graph, but
Okay.
like you'll be going up, 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 and then the rut. You could have ruts where it literally just like takes you down to there.
Mm.
Like your rut could be so bad that it like takes you down,
Mm.
and so you really overall didn't make any progress.
Mm.
But if you could get to a point where you can go up, 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 and then your rut is just around like here,
Mm.
and then you get over your rut, and then you go back up, 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 and so you're at least going up.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Did I
Yeah.
like show that in a good way?
No, I mean it kind of makes sense. So rots are just things that makes you not want to do the things that you should be doing, pretty much.
For sure. It's like, I don't. At least for me, it kind of shows up sometimes. It's like just like it's like when something comes over me, and I'm like, I just want to start eating like the junk food again, and like
Mm.
like you know
Mm.
just like doing the bad habits and stuff that I tried to avoid
Avoid.
most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, even with let's say like if you like to read books, like
Yeah,
I heard this somewhere where to you see how like we have TV in the living room, you have your PlayStation, it's much easier to to play it or to watch TV because it's there and like you're seeing it. But
yeah,
if you have your books where you have your PlayStation, then you'll be more attracted to read because it's there and like your eyes can see it and your mind can like look at it. So it's much easier. Like is that like the same thing?
yeah. I think that's definitely a good like visualization to have, because like that's just part of your environment.
Mm.
Like, yeah, that actually is. I guess like your environment can be part of it too,
Yeah.
because for me, if it's like if you're trying not to eat junk food and you have like all the junk food
Hmm.
out, say there's just like chocolate bars all over my desk, like I'm more likely to eat it, you
Right.
know? But I guess like eliminating it,
Mm,
or even like you said, putting like books in place of like, the things that used to be the PlayStation.
no,
Yeah, I think
no. I think so. I think um I mean, for me, like I use like these days, like I've been like journaling a lot, and I think what's really helping is just having my journal with me, like in my living room, sitting there.
yeah,
So this way, I know
yeah,
every morning when I wake up, I'll do my morning routine, and I just go and then write in my journal. You know, so
yeah. I think that's good. Do you have like any specific journal techniques?
like techniques you said.
Yeah, like when you journal, are you kind of just like writing, writing what's on top of the mind, or do you have like, you don't have to share exactly
Yeah.
the content, but like, do you have any like techniques that you use,
So
or like,
so with me, so like I'm Christian. So like when I wake up in
mhm,
the morning, or well, first of all, I have like a whole routine that I have in the morning. So I'll wake up, I'll brush my teeth, I'll go outside, get some fresh air.
mhm,
Like during the summertime, I would actually, because we have like a park, like a small park outside of my apartment. I will go there, and then I'll walk over the grass and then feel the grass and just be present, like just be in the moment.
mm,
And then I'll go for a walk, and
yeah,
then I'll go over work in like in the neighborhood. And like the first hour, like so, like the goal is like the first hour of my morning, I don't want to touch my phone ever.
yeah,
So I'll go for the walk. I'll come back. I'll read my Bible, and I'll just reflect on what I'm reading, and then I'll just write down my thoughts and um, you know what I'm thinking. And so
yeah,
it's been really helpful, because I'm realizing these days that it's becoming much easier for me to write. And I'm realizing that, like, when you write in the morning, especially with your hands, because I don't use my phone to write. I usually use a pen
mhm,
and the notebook. It's good because it slows down your brain. Like when you're writing with your hands, like you don't realize, like you're really slowing down your brain. So like, because you're thinking of every single word that you're writing. So um yeah, that to me, just for me, just like reading my Bible and writing down my thoughts and what I'm like about what I learned it's been really helpful to just get my
yeah.
out.
That seems like a great morning routine, honestly, because yeah, it's a mix of like going outside, like getting grounded,
Mhm.
and then like even reading,
Mhm.
reading your Bible.
Mhm.
Like, I think it's I think it's a good start to the day.
Mhm. Yeah, it just kind of helps me, to just be present. Like
Yeah,
I had like one of my friend on the podcast. She talked about like her, like she doesn't start her day before she does her morning routine. Because
yeah,
otherwise you get bombarded with everything. It's like you need that time to just breathe.
that is true. I think it's like, do you feel like it's kind of just like a way to like separate yourself from like the craziness of the day?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely. Well, it's more about getting myself ready for the day.
Mm,
Yeah,
okay.
because I know the moment that I touch my phone, it's over. Emails,
Yeah,
texts, you know, you name it,
yeah.
notifications. So
Yeah, I like that because if you just start your day and you like wake up and you just get like bombarded with
yeah,
that, I mean, it could be really draining,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, and especially if you got goals and you've got things that you need to accomplish, it's it's really hard. So
Yeah.
like what are some of your the habits that you've been doing like lately that's been helping you, like good habits that have been, and also like things that you need to change for 2025.
Mm. I would say that I'd say that I work out every day.
Okay.
So I like where I'm at with that. I do want to improve at the gym
Okay.
because I kind of had the same routine. I've been doing the same thing pretty much at the
Yeah.
gym, and it kind of has gotten monotonous
Yeah.
at this
Yeah.
point, but it is still helpful.
Mm.
Uh, I like reading.
Okay.
Reading, I'd say, is one of my like good habits, and journaling. Journaling is huge,
Mm.
and meditating.
Okay. Okay. Like, do you
Yeah,
meditate
and
like every day?
I try to do 5-10 minutes a day.
Mm. Yeah.
Sometimes maybe even like 20 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'd say meditation is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Meditation is actually surprisingly like one of the most beneficial ones for me.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah. And then as far as 2025, I'd say I want to read more.
Mm.
I want to read even more. I sometimes when I read, I only read like 10 pages or so, like 10, 15 pages. I want to just like really like read a lot more books and like
Mm.
learn more.
Yeah, I think that's for me too. I definitely want to read more books. I I think I want to read at least 5 books next year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that like I just think that reading is one of those things that it can it can just like really change your mind, you know.
Mm. Like, what are like the biggest lesson you've learned from a book that you read recently?
I'm reading Think and Grow Rich right now.
You
And
too?
yeah, have you read that?
I'm reading it right now.
Oh, you're reading it too?
Yeah.
I'm only like 40 pages in,
Okay.
but it's talking about it's talking about basically how a belief or a thought can basically how a simple thought or a belief can transform into like reality,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. Like for example, like if you think that I don't know, you think that you want to get a six pack
Mm.
and you have that belief,
Mm.
then it can transform into reality,
Mm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like kind of like the whole manifestation
Mm-hmm.
thing, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean it's like you're visualizing it, and you because I think a lot of it comes from our subconscious. Things that are in our subconscious, they um, become somehow our reality. So if subconsciously you think that you won't progress in life, then your reality will also you know will prove that.
Yeah, I think it's so weird. I think it's so I guess interesting too how the mind works like
Hmm.
that. Like a lot of stuff is subconscious and
Hmm.
like there's a lot of stuff going on in our minds that like or at least for me that I might not even know like
Mm.
most of the time what's going on.
Mm. Yeah, I agree, and I think that's where the feeding your mind with the right things comes into play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Removing. I think that when you feed your mind with the right things, it also exposes all the bad things that you've been filling your mind with in the past, and it kind of uh can I say do like a cleaning, and it
Yeah.
brings
Yeah.
in new idea, new perspectives. So it's really helpful.
Yeah. I like the way that you said it like it cleans your mind like it cleans
Yeah.
it's weird but it's so true. Like I know exactly what you're talking about.
Mm,
Like if you do it for enough time, it takes time.
mm,
I mean, if you just read a book and like you've never read a book or it's like your first book, like I mean, it can change your mind, but over it's just going to take time
mm-hmm,
to really like show its effect if that makes sense.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that visualization also goes hands to hands to sales. Like if
Yeah.
you believe that you can close some sales, you will close it, or I guess
Yeah.
open that you would open open relationships.
Yeah, that's such a good point because if you tell yourself like, "Oh, I'm bad at sales," or "I suck at sales," and you have that, then that's just what's actually gonna like
Yeah,
manifest.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. I agree. I agree. I mean, it's all. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm also reading that book right now. It's really nice. I mean, it it's really great to kind of get your mind right, especially like when you're going through a tough time, to kind of help like motivate you and um you know keeping you in a positive mindset. So it's definitely helpful.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, let me know. I'll keep in touch with you on that book because I'm also reading it, and I
Okay.
think that's cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll definitely will. Um. Okay. So like, kind of heading toward the end, but what are some skills that you're trying to learn in 2025 to help you step up your game?
Mm. I mean, sales. I just want to get better at it.
Mm.
Sales is a big one. That's a good one. Um,
I mean, because I
I
know.
mean,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say like, yeah, if I do wanna grow like my own personal like business, I just like the skills required with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if that means hopefully essentially like hiring like in the future. I
Mm.
mean, if it's by 2025 at the end of 2025, hopefully that skill.
Mm.
I don't know. What do you think? Like, what are some skills that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would say definitely I need to improve my communication skills. Um, Definitely with for me being in sales and also doing this podcast, I definitely want to improve how I talk, how I present, and I would say also my sales. I need to improve that. I need to improve my sales skills as well. But I think that once when you improve your communication skills, that would also compensates with your sales skills. So definitely that's something that I need to work on. That's my number one skills that I want to work on for 2025. And also, I want to learn more about marketing and digital marketing. So
Mm,
I'm interested.
yeah, digital marketing. That whole world is pretty cool. Uh, yeah, and communication. Now that thinking about it, I think communication is huge.
Hmm.
Like, if you could be a good communicator, you know, on like content,
Hmm.
that's good, and then definitely in person
Hmm.
communication. Like, it's huge.
Yeah, I mean, because I there was a lot of things that you know I feel like I just need to remove in my vocabulary and
Hmm.
how I talk. And I even noticed like ever since we started talking, I noticed that you don't really say a lot of ums. So that's something that
Mm.
uh I really that I'm impressed with. So like, how did you get to that point of like not saying ums or like?
I feel like, well, see, like, I feel like I do, or I sometimes I see myself as saying like a lot. Maybe I'm a little critical, and like just being critical helps, I guess.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I'd say I try to when I'm talking, I try to have like a third person perspective, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
Okay.
It's like, what am I actually like? What words am I actually saying?
Yeah.
If that makes
Yeah.
sense. I try to take myself. I guess like I try to see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I try to see my words like
Yeah.
in a picture, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I really like that because I was watching a YouTube video of this professor was talking about how to improve your communication. He said one of the first things that you have to do is being conscious of the word that's coming out of coming out of your mouth. And
Yeah,
before words get out, they usually start with the mind. So you have to be conscious with what you're trying to say before
yeah,
the words come out. So that's actually really good that you do that.
yeah. I think that I mean sometimes like you'll be talking though, and you don't really think about it,
Mm,
and you don't really care how you come off, or I mean sometimes,
hmm.
but if you could kind of just be more conscious about like what's actually coming out, I think it could help. I don't
Mm,
know.
no, I agree. I think you have to be self conscious of what you're saying. I think most of the times, like we just sometimes things words just come they just come out of our mouth, but we don't take the effort to think about what we're saying. I mean, it might seem like duh, like think twice before you talk, but like, do we actually
Yeah,
take the time to think about what we're gonna say? I feel like it's a skills that it's kind of going away. Like, not many people, you know, uh, do that nowadays. Like,
yeah,
these days, like, I'm really impressed. Like, what really impressing me these days is seeing someone talk in a, like really well articulate. That's really impressive to me these days.
for sure. Yeah, and I guess speaking of skills, like that would be a huge skill to just be able to like really articulate things good
Hmm.
and like capture people's attention, I guess
Yeah,
you could say, or just really explain things good,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. Because if you can't talk well, then I feel like that translates into other areas. Could be professionally, personally, like in a relationship or anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, one interesting thing too is kind of speaking about like thinking before you speak. I
Mm,
I saw this thing, but it's like why are billionaires so like concise like with their answers and like just like short with their
mm,
answers, and it's just like I think they just say what they need to and just leave it at that, you know? Like
mm,
I think they probably I don't know how a billionaire thinks, but I would think that they think before they speak, you know? They're just like
mm.
really concise and to the point.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's the whole thing. Like, sometimes like people think that you need to say a lot, but most of the times like you don't need to say much. You just the sh- the more concise, the better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a skill. That's the skill.
And I also think that you know, well, I also heard this in the podcast. It's like one of the best ways to improve your communication skills is by having a clear mind first. Also, it really helps
Mm.
because if you think about it, like I said, like everything starts with your mind. But if your mind is full of garbage, and you can't really have clear words coming from your mind. And so definitely
Yeah.
one of the first thing to do is definitely like clearing your mind by either like podcasting or just I guess like removing like toxicity in your life and
Yeah.
like around you, and that would really help too.
Yeah. I really like that, like how you think about that, because I'm definitely on the same page. I think it's really interesting what you said about like cleaning your mind. Like I think that's a cool perspective to have on that. Just like
Hmm.
cleansing
Hmm.
cleansing what's going on like
Hmm.
in your mind, you know?
Hmm. No, no, I agree. That's my goal for 2025. Um, Hopefully by next year I'll be able to remove the arms from my vocabulary. So
Yeah.
yeah, but uh, we're coming toward the end of the show. Thank you, bro, for being here. It's been a pleasure talking to you over the last
Yeah.
hour. And what to end with, like my last question is, like, what is it that you're looking forward to in 2025, and what do you wish the most for you to have in 2025?
Mm. I think I want to get I think I want to get better with like my family relationship.
Mm,
Not that it's bad, but I want to get like, you know, like closer to my family. I want to help them more,
mm,
be in a position to help them more. So that's kind of it kind of motivates me to, you know, work hard so I can be in
mm-hmm.
that position.
Love that.
But, you know, if worse comes to worse, I at least want to be more like present
Mm-hmm.
with them and, you know, just like work on the relationship, I'd say.
Love that.
Kind of kind of grow it a little bit more. Also, I do want to grow in like, my personal like business and finance. I definitely want to make more money
Mm-hmm.
in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'd say that those are probably the two biggest things. Relationships, just overall,
Mm.
outside of family too,
Okay.
I'd say.
Okay.
And wealth, yeah.
You will get all that, brother.
Thank you. Dude, yeah, we're definitely on the right path, I'd say.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. One day at a time.
Yeah, for
Do you
sure.
have any advice for um uh salesmen, young salesmen, or young sales
Mm,
ladies? Anybody trying to succeed in sales, and also how can we reach you? Like how can people reach you?
yeah, so LinkedIn would be good. It's just Michael Maloney.
Mm.
Um, or I sometimes make YouTube videos. Sometimes they're weird, but weird in that like kind of uncensored. Like I kind of just, say what's on the top of my
Mm-hmm.
mind, and you know, some people like find value in it, which I think is cool.
Mm.
But yeah, YouTube. Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn and YouTube are kind of the big ones that I'm on right now.
Okay.
Instagram, I don't really, use Instagram as much anymore, but check me
Mm-hmm.
out. But
Okay.
yeah, I'd say again, I'm not like the expert in sales, but just from what I'm learning and just kind of my experience thus far,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that the thing that's helped me out the most is just learning. Like just learning. And like you said, feeding your mind,
Mm-hmm.
learning from people that you can trust.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of see a difference between like the people that are selling like a cheap course online
Right.
versus like people that are actually providing like a lot of like actual like
Mm-hmm.
value, like good content. So trustworthy
Mm-hmm.
content, reading books, and then just doing,
Mm.
like just taking action. Like don't overthink, and you know just don't be afraid to like put yourself out there. Like you know I'm kind of just trying to actively put myself out there. And
Mm.
so kind of just don't be afraid to put yourself out there,
Thank you, bro. Thank you. This has been fun. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to see all the great things that you will do in 2025.
Appreciate it, Ben. Yeah, it's always good talking to you, man. And yeah, thank you for having me on today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for tuning in for this episode of Tony's Unlocked. If you're new to the show, please share, subscribe to the podcast, and let's keep growing together. Until next time.